Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, this is just my opinion, but this is another installment on my series in America is Doomed. As a civilization, as a country, we've peaked, we've already hit our zenith, and we are on the decline. And I don't think there's anything we can do about that. It's too late. This country is doomed. And I'm not saying that to be a troll or to be to be a pain in the ass or to bust anybody's ass or anything like that. It's what I really believe. Let me start right here. The other day I did a video about the Bishop Budd, the woman doing the service at the cathedral in Washington. And Trump commented that she wasn't very smart. And I look at Donald Trump, and right off the bat, I love to read. I could tell that he can't read. Not that he can't read, but he doesn't read books. You could spot somebody that doesn't read books. I think reading books is one of the biggest keys to intelligence. Like every time I read constantly, I actually read several books at the same time. I'm reading H.G. Wells short stories. I read a lot of books. Anyway, when he said she's not smart, it kind of caught my attention. Because if most people that do have some intelligence could see that Trump's vocabulary is really something like a third grader. Like when he used the word smart, that's not a word I would have used. I would have used intelligent, perceptive, clever. There's any variety of words, but smart, just a simple, dumb one syllable word. I really think we've just hit our zenith. Look at kids today. I remember being 10 or 11 years old, and I used to love to read. Even in the summer, in the winter, I remember reading Jaws. I remember, I used to love to read the books before I saw the movie because the books were so much more descriptive. You got way more out of reading the books. And I read the Amityville Horror. The Bermuda Triangle was a big thing back in 1977. And you look at kids today, and they're on the computers, they're playing video games and stuff, and kids aren't reading. I think reading is one of the biggest keys. Here's why I think the country is doomed. Intelligence is not like wealth. You could literally get wealthy overnight. You cannot get intelligent overnight. That's something that just takes a long time to come about. It takes curiosity. Then I couldn't believe when I first heard that kids are not reading or writing cursive anymore. Put some links down below to that. Or that kids, I thought these were jokes. I was like, you gotta be kidding. Really? Kids can't read or write cursive? I learned that I think in first or second grade. And kids can't read a clock. Like when you say it's like, or Gen Z when I say kids, like it's 2:45. That means it's 2:45. Like the younger generations don't really, they're used to digital clocks. Like they really don't understand how a clock, or they can't drive standard. I was a truck driver. My 73 Formula Firebird was 400 4-speed. The kids nowadays, and I think, maybe they're picking up a little more in the way of computer intelligence, but I really think the country is doomed. I think we're never going to be able to catch up. Here's something else I noticed. I like to read a lot. And the authors from years ago, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle that wrote Sherlock Holmes, Robert Louis Stevenson, he wrote a lot of stuff. Like I said, H.G. Wells. I just read H.G. Wells last night, and I read In the Abyss. And the words in here are they're 3-4 syllable words, and it deals with scientific. And this was written in 1896, 129 years ago. Okay, then I read a more recent book by a newer author. This is by Robert Hart and Alex Segura, Deep Space, and the difference is astounding. The way that authors write today, in the even best-selling authors, but with the exception of maybe Stephen King, because Stephen King really does write some intelligent stuff, some really descriptive intelligent stuff, but it still does not compare to authors. And you can see the intelligence. Where did that intelligence go? Where did that vocabulary go? The way that people like this used to write, H.G. Wells, you look at the words these guys use, and every time I read these books, if I don't know a word, I look it up. So I'm literally getting more intelligent with every book I read. And kids today, a lot of people I don't think don't read. I think we are in a decline. Our intelligence is in a decline. And we're beyond the point of turning it around. Here's one more last thing I'd like to compare with you guys. I went to technical school 2 times for 2 different degrees. The first time was for architectural and civil drafting in 1989, okay? And I learned how to do like computations, like a page long to figure out the joists in the ceiling for architectural drafting. Like if you needed a 2x16, 10 inches on center, or if you needed 2x6s, so we had to do like a whole page of trigonometry, calculus, algebra, stuff like that, a whole page, like how much pressure Douglas fir could take per square inch. And then I went back to school because I got hurt my back, and they sent me back to school for mechanical and electrical CAD. Now this was about 20 years later in 2001, and they no longer did those computations. The computer did all the work for them. All they did was hit a button, and the computer, they had to know how to have keystrokes. They just had to know how to use a computer. But they had none of the stuff that I learned, like 18 years before, or in the mid 80s, on how to actually do the calculus, how to actually do the trigonometry and the algebra, to understand the stress levels, the different types of stress, compression, tension, shear, the different types of stress. Kids, the people going to technical schools or to colleges nowadays don't even learn that stuff. The computer does it all for them, and they don't read. People don't read anymore. And in the White House, we have a perfect example of that. Here's one last thing. Trump doesn't go to church. I don't think he doesn't go to confession because he says he doesn't do anything wrong. He's a good guy. These are reasons I don't trust him. He doesn't own a pet. He doesn't own a dog or a cat, and never trust a person that doesn't or hasn't owned a pet, a cat or a dog. I don't presently have a cat, but it's because I can't have pets here. And he doesn't read. Trump doesn't read books. You can't, I can't trust somebody that doesn't have a pet, never went to church, and never reads books. I don't have a very high opinion of those people, unfortunately. And most of all, they shouldn't be running the country. We are doomed. We are in our decline, and there's nothing we can do about it. Like I said, you can't get intelligence overnight like you can get wealthy overnight. It's too late. The country's doomed, and we're getting stupider. That's my opinion. Let me know what you think. Have a good Sunday.